Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. It is a lovely Friday morning over here from Helsinki, Finland, overcast and rainy as hell, which is great for me because then I don't have to worry about the sun blinding my eyes from staying in the cave all goddamn day long. Anyways, with that said, no live stream today. I do have a few commitments that I need to get to a little bit later, so unfortunately, I suppose we'll see each other perhaps live on Monday. Maybe over the weekend, we'll see what happens. I do like to go live when price action is actually moving because that's when it's most fun, and I suspect that we'll definitely have a little bit of movement around that Saturday Night Live event with Elon Musk and the doggy coins leading the market right now. Well, I wouldn't necessarily say leading the market, but I actually do look at that as a rather relevant event, and I actually would be looking at major tops probably in doggy coin either a little bit before or a little bit after that event. And with that said, I'd like to wish you the best bets and the happiest. So let's get into the Krown Trade application right now, which can be found at app.krowntrade.net. It's 100% free, so you can claim your own free account in the link description below. And we actually have a mobile, I believe, coming maybe even today. So keep that in mind. And we have a couple of other big updates in the not so distant future. Maybe even, actually, they might even get pushed today as well. I'll have to speak with Mr. Morenfall, our primary dev, and we'll figure it out from there. Anyways, into the Krown Chain application we go. And what do we see right here? We do see a couple of very interesting things. We do see Bitcoin dominance still heading down and based out that 44.5% region, which does imply that altcoin Bitcoin pairings are the main beneficiaries of Bitcoin going sideways, as we have been saying. And for what it's worth, again, I'm not long-term bearish on Bitcoin. I'm not macro bearish on Bitcoin. Long-term, I'm very much bullish on Bitcoin. I don't think that the run is done on the macro scale. However, do I think that Bitcoin is more or less ranging here, as I have been saying for the past month and a half to 2 months now? Yes. And do I think that's going to go on a little bit longer? Also, yes. So with that in mind, let's see what we got going on as far as the top 10 best coins, top 10 worst coins. We got the top 10 best: Qtum, Ethereum Classic, EOS, Amizigo, Ontology, Monero, BitTorrent, Tezos, Dash, and DerpSwap. All big gainers. In fact, Qtum about 60%, almost 61% in the last 24 hours. That is just insanity right there. Top 10 worst coins though: Bitcoin Gold, giving up a few of the gains that it got from the last day. Flow, OKB, Phantom, XRP. No, not my Ripples. Compound, Stacks. What the fuck is Stacks? Clayton. That sounds very formidable. And Uniswap and PancakeSwap all getting hit on the head in the last 24 hours. Fear and Greed Index, pretty much where we were yesterday, right in the low 60s. Again, not necessarily really greedy or pessimistic within this market, more or less slightly optimistic, if you will, but it is, it's always relevant to itself, and we don't really see a major change right there. Now, I want to take a little bit of time to speak about the open interest right here. So we do, yet again, see a little bit of a complex lower high right here on the Bitcoin line chart. I think it's a lot easier to see it on a chart like this. And when you look at the open interest within the context of this, again, we do essentially see the narrative, we do essentially see the signature that you would expect during a more long-form consolidation. We see open interest going a little bit down as Bitcoin tried that move up yesterday. That's what we did say. It was like, hey, this is a bit concerning. Probably doesn't get follow through. Again, range is the most likely outcome of this. And what do you know? Bitcoin comes back down a little bit and open interest essentially levels off. So I'm not really seeing anything majorly different right there. I want to see something very specific if I am going to be looking for a next major continuation phase or maybe even a reversal. Again, I'm not necessarily leaning towards it, but conditions do need to be set for that sort of an opportunity it is an opportunity obviously, but for that sort of scenario, and that would be open interest shooting up as Bitcoin does break the high term time frame range. That would be essentially $48,000 to the downside, our last local low, and to the upside would be about $60,000. We'll look at it soon enough. But a big focus on Ethereum today because that one is the more interesting of the big boys, and we do see open interest actually trending down once again as well. So this is whoa, Jesus Christ, man! Oh, chart is very deceptive right now in its presentation. Binance, while it looks like it's massively way out on Mars, it's actually just 0.51%. Nothing is in any way, shape, or form concerning to myself. We do see Bybit, BitMEX, Huobi all around 0.01. OKX really not that far off. FTX same shit, and Deribit even a little bit less than that, and same thing with Kraken. So with all of that in mind, I do still look at this as more or less a range. This would be a healthy sort of a healthy consolidation, all interpretations considered, as we do essentially look for small but tangible signs of a reaccumulation within this region, which I do believe that we are seeing. As you can see on the Bitcoin dominance chart, just continues with the trending down. So fair enough. Altcoin time is perhaps the best time for the shitcoiners out there. Anyways, I think it's time to go into the charts. But before that, I do want to remind you, if you didn't see the video last night, Caretaker released a new indicator. It is open source. That means it's 100% free, and you can even like get the code for it. It's if you want. It's in TradingView. I released a video on it last night. There is a link in the description below. It will be referencing it to today. So check it out if you're so inclined. Anyways, into the charts we go. Let's start off with Mr. Beaterall today, as I do still look at this one as trending in motion. We did close the 2-day and 3-day last night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, alongside the daily as well. And while the daily is getting a little bit of a sideways consolidation here, which is completely fine, 2-day is still trending above the top side control demand, so I still look at this as likely to make new all-time highs over the next probably 48 hours, or at least try for another move there. 2 to 4 days, I'd say. And the 3-day also closing last night as well, did close above the top side control demand, and I still do look at this as a trend in motion as well. So all higher term timeframes still look good for a continuation to myself. We see MACD histogram continues with the momentum to the upside. We see ADX DMI is continuing with the ADX massively marching to the upside. However, remember, we do have this trend line right here coming in from the last few major highs, and that would still imply a few more upticks here, perhaps even as much into the next, let's see, this would be the 10th, this would be the 12th, or sorry, the 13th. So maybe somewhere around like mid to end next week, I probably would be looking for a medium term high, or at least on that sort of a watch, as I do believe that this one probably does go into a bit of a sideways consolidation, maybe similar to what Bitcoin's going through right now. After carrying out the next leg of this current rally. Now, long term, do I think that the rally is done for this one? No, I think that this one's actually still relatively strong, and I still do look at the relevant areas to the upside somewhere around I guess this is more like 3850 to $4,000. A lot of areas coming in within this region, and mine are obviously convoluted right here. Realistically, it's only the 618 that I'm really keeping a keen eye on, but a little bit below that and a little bit above that are all free game for myself. And yes, I do think that Mr. Beaterall does get somewhere around there, and then we play out, a nice big pullback, if you will. Is the macro cycle done? I don't really think so. I think after that we probably see another one of the majors take the reins of this market and continue with rotations, perhaps Bitcoin, as I do think Bitcoin by that point may be mature. But as it stands right now, Mr. Beaterall still kind of the darling of the market and still marching to the upside, at least as far as I see. Buy daily also is increasing on the SMI histogram right here too, as of last night's closure. Same thing on, of course, the MACD histogram too, and ADX DMI continuing with its up as well. So I do still look for another continuation drive on this, essentially, to those targets, and then a bit of caution around there. If you go over to the daily, you can see that's getting faded a little bit more. So is the daily going to go into a bit of a sideways on the short-term timeframes? Probably yes, but ultimately over the next, I'd say like 2 to 4 days, I'd probably be looking for another continuation drive. Anyways, let's go into the shorter term charts over here and see what we got. So as I alluded to earlier, we do have this new indicator right here. It's essentially just a percentile function on the Bollinger Band's width, which is a volatility-based indicator, and it can give us some insight into the sort of where we are within this current move. And as you can see right here, we actually are not even getting into the red zone just yet. Now, admittedly, it is getting very, very high. It's around an 89 percentile, actually. Yeah, about 89.68 percentile. But typically speaking, we're really on like major high watch when this thing starts to get, especially above like 95 percentile. Now, actually, I want to get rid of these damn alerts here. I fucking hate these alerts, but I understand that a lot of people like them. I fucking hate them. So I'm just going to get rid of them right there. So again, I just want to see the raw data as much as possible. By the way, for the settings that I'm using right now, these are the settings that I like best, at least as of this current moment in time. If you want to use it on lower term timeframes, I strongly suggest using a lower length, at least 13, maybe even as low as 10 or 9. But in this case right here, I'm having pretty damn good results with this thus far, and as you can see right here, we do see a great interplay between all of these extreme reads and price action. So as it currently stands, the moving average is giving us a bias that yes, this is still in an expansion phase right now. And again, expansion phase within the context of an uptrend is going to imply some more upside, yes, but I would be very cognizant of any sort of topping behavior around that $4,000 target, especially if this gets into like the deeper 90 percentiles. If that starts to happen, yes, I'd be looking for, somewhat of a local high. Doesn't mean that we can't, trade sideways and having another continuation like you saw right here can definitely happen, but I'd be looking for a cool off effect and realize that this is, still a pretty massive move right here. I mean, this is a 31% move from top to bottom. It doesn't look like much on this chart, but it is a humongous fucking move. So while that barely barely looks like anything here, that is a major opportunity, at least as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, same thing over here too. And I imagine this will be very, very similar over here as well. Anyways, as far as the daily momentum oscillators go, we do see daily RSI, still looks fine here. Yes, it's getting a little bit more egregious, but okay, especially as long as it does not confirm a local high. And typically speaking, this, wait, actually we're on a 3-day right now. Let's go to the daily. The daily is redlining, or is it redlining right now? Actually, it is a 96th percentile. Ooh, bad. All right, well, anyways, we'll just ignore that for right now. Check out the 3-day. That one's still suggesting some upside if you want to be bullish. No, this one's actually still fine here too. Looking at this right here, I'm sure that people are going to call this bearish divergence. You typically don't see bearish, like a very nasty result of bearish divergence, even if this one does play right here. It's a little bit too muted. If anything, just to move down to the 10 simple, which is actually pretty fucking far down right now, and I don't think that we're going to get a move like that. We did say yesterday a move below 3,400 was likely. We did get that move, but that was only relevant for the short-term time frames, and of course, we actually did make a new all-time high on top of it after that. But ultimately, I look for this to trade a little bit sideways and up here, kind of contrary to Bitcoin, which I'm looking for sideways and down as I have been for the past while now. This one sideways and up. I do still look at this as continuation here, and I do still look at the lower term time frames as more or less a bullish reset. Yes, the 4-hour jewel is a bit concerning right here, but that's the only major concerning thing that I can kind of come up with, I suppose. And more importantly, that technically that is a signal, but if you do look at it right here, when did we get the signal? Well, let's not hindsight trade this one. Let's give this one the not benefit of the doubt. So what it told you to short right here, that's a closing price of 3,500 essentially. We come all the way down to 3,350. That's not a bad move to be fair, but not necessarily what you're looking for on a it's only like a 4.25% move right there. Only a fucking 4.25%. But you're typically looking for more when you see a signal like that off something like that. So I'm inclined to say that either this one doesn't get all that much play, or you've kind of already seen the result. The only way that I really start to get bearish on this one is if it starts to break below some sort of structural area here. And in this case, we don't really have too much to be going off of. 3350 would be that area for myself. If we throw on the drawing tools right here, I actually don't even have it charted out, which is kind of funny. Let's put on these horizontal lines of prosperity right here, and I'll just mark off this area. And that is kind of like our last little short-term accumulation. I'll actually even put it in a blue box region right here. I'm essentially long-term bullish as long as we are above this region, but again, short-term, medium-term time frames, do not apply for something like that. And typically speaking, your first test down to the 21, almost on any time frame in my experience, is usually going to be a bounce, at least another try towards those highs. And this is the first time in a while here, so it certainly does fit that criterion. As the last time that we actually tested down to the 21 was way back in late April, which actually is not that far away now that you think about it. But on a 4-hour, a little bit further away, and I'd be looking for a bounce here first and foremost, to be fair. Anyways, 4-hour RSI also kind of tells a story. I do look at this as more or less healthy long term. Short term, does it have a little bit of downside? Yep, we do see that bearish divergence has mostly played out. I mean, again, a very very muted move here, about 5.5%. Again, this is cryptocurrency right now, and at the end of the day, cryptocurrency, you typically expect more percentages on top of that. If this was in traditional markets, that would be like mind blowing, but it's not. Anyways, okay, cool. So we've got through that. Let's check out the 12-hour as well. 12-hour, again, I'd be looking for a bounce here first and foremost. I think that we got one more continuation drive, and then it's time to be a little bit more cautious. Same thing on the 2-day. We are going to start to see some divergences form. Yes, especially going back to the highs in January. Bless you, sir. But first things first, needs to confirm a local high, and I don't see a local high here just yet. If anything, the 3-day will have a local high by coming back down below the last 3-day low, which is 31.75. That would make me start to target a move back down around the 10 simple, which is currently speaking at about 27.50. I don't think that happens here. I think that this, gets another try to the upside again, but that would be my condition for looking for a reversal there. I would not be playing the daily range right here, or at least the daily range would be down around this last local low territory at about 32.40-ish region. So as it stands right now, just look for this one on continuation. Anyways, is there anything else that I want to speak about here? Weekly looking good. I still do like the weekly for another drive. Weekly TSI, again, getting that fresh cross up as of a couple weeks ago. I still look at this one as likely to play out. Again, this is born upon the last few major lows going back to January 2020. Obviously, your coronavirus dumps in March, and then more recently the base in October, and then once again in middle of April on this last base right here. So I look for this one again, to have one more melt move to the upside, and then some diabolical sideways, which I know this market hates. Anyways, should we go check out Bitcoin? Or actually, before that, let's go check out Caretakers STC over here. By the way, I've actually overlaid the HVP and BBWP over here as well. As you can see, I actually find a lot better results with BBWP, again, with these settings specifically. Now, what I would say is, hey, back test it for yourself, decide for yourself. These tools are freely available, and whatever works for you best is what you should be using. I'm not here to be your fucking dad and say, hey, you're not using my favorite indicator. Fuck you, man. Fuck you. You better use it because what? It's like, do whatever the fuck you want to do, man. Anyways, my point is, like, obviously referencing something else. My point is that, use what works for you. But as far as the ranges here go, I still look at this as a critical bull zone, strong rising trend. I totally agree with Caretaker STC right here. It's still showing areas of interest. Yeah, right below $4,000. I'd be looking at that sell one at about 39. That will naturally expand as time goes on too. I think the 4-hour is maybe around that same region. No, it's not actually. It's consolidation. It's a bull zone consolidation after all, but we are trending down on volatility right there. So again, another decent signal that a little bit of sideways here, and then very likely another try to the upside is what I'm looking for first and foremost. 12-hour, same shit, around 3,900. It looks like, at least for the first sort of targeted region. Things get crazy. It looks like 42 is coming up on several different time frames. Yes, indeed. Got 12-hour. Actually, the 2 days really interesting here. It's actually only showing 41, so maybe like 41 to 4,200-ish regions where I'd be looking towards on a, on a, like a nastier wick. But at least for now, I remain bullish on Mr. Ethereum, and let's go check out Bitcoin now. Bitcoin, a lot less interesting for the trend traders out there. For the range traders, this is actually quite nice. Typically, I do fall into that category, but in this market, I've actually just been trying to, I've just been attempting to take it easy, if you will, employ more long-term strategies and try to learn something new. Anyways, for myself, looking at Bitcoin right here, let's actually go to CME chart, because we are going to see the closure for the weekly at the end of the day here at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that's that's gonna have a strong influence on the spot price action closure on Sunday. So I'd be willing to say that wherever the weekly closes today is very likely going to be where we end up on spot price action as well. Again, the way that I look at this is, we got a gap fill right here. A few people were asking me questions about that, and just coming back down at a range. Nothing too interesting as far as the long term goes right now. Do we potentially have some hidden bullish divergence in progress on the weekly here? It's definitely possible, but this is not confirmed as a local low just yet. If we close above last week's close, which is 57,315 on CME, I would look at this as confirmed hidden bullish divergence, and then I'd be looking for another move back up to the prior high, and very likely another trending move on top of that. But again, we are still seeing a bit of a contraction phase going on right here. The moving average being a big bias in that direction, seen as it does have a negative slope, and obviously BBWP is trending below it as well. Anyways, if we go down to the very low term time frames, let's see what we got right around here. Again, a lot of people are talking about the golden cross and death cross on this one. It's very interesting, when you get price action like this, you always get the fucking golden cross and death cross fucking fanboys with it. And look, this is a very, 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 very obvious consolidation right here. And the way to play a cross like this is that you want to see a clear resolution of the range given a bias on direction, and then obviously the golden cross or death cross is going to fall in that direction. But it's not until you get the resolution of the range where that is actually confirmed and tradable. Now, you do have all of the other intangible things set up here, where price action is essentially all around the cross itself. So that certainly is in place. But where would the range be? Where do biases change? Okay, so if you are looking at the 4-hour trend right here, you got your lower high structure coming in from the last 57,500 level right here. You got your last higher low coming in from about $54,000 right here. There's no more obvious signal of consolidation than this, and then also all your moving averages kind of bunched up together as well. They are an average of price action, so it kind of makes sense if you actually reason through it. Anyways, let me where's my keyboard? There it is. I found it. Let's put on the drawing tools for a second. And what I'll do here is I'll leave this. I'll keep this one here, $54,000. We can actually have this one here. I had that nailed to a different time frame. But if we were looking at a 4-hour right here, I'd be looking at a resolution above 57.5, we'll call it, or 57.6, technically speaking, on a closure that is, or a wick higher than the high wick of this range, which is 58,600. And same thing on the bottom side right here, $54,000 resolution versus wick at 52,830-ish region. Now, if Bitcoin does break down here below the bottom side of this range, I would be looking for a quick move to about $52,000 on CME. Very likely a small bounce there, and then potential continuation implied to like just below $50,000, as we did look at on the monthly, which I can bring up soon enough. To the upside, a lot more easy in this case. If we do take out the upside resolution, I'd be looking for another somewhat quickish move to about $61.5 to $62,000. And then very likely a try higher into continuation mode on the macro scale. Now again, I don't think that Bitcoin is in a threatening territory to continue with trend here. Again, one of the big things that I'm kind of using to kind of call this is the hash ribbons indicator, of which we still yet to have a buy signal. Now, admittedly, when we do see that you get your initial capitulation signal, we've identified that it takes about on average a month, maybe a little bit less, to get that next buy signal, and then after that buy signal, it takes on average about a week to 2 weeks, historically speaking, to get the next sort of trending move. I won't go through all of the examples here because I did it in the last long-term analysis video, and the one prior to that probably as well, and a few other videos, so I don't want to bore you with it, but I'll just give you one example to give you an idea, and then you can check this for yourself. But you get the capitulation signal right here, boom, okay, that is on the 20th of October. When do you get your buy signal? You get that on the 1st of December, so that's basically a month, a little bit more than a month, and then that buy signal is on 1st of December. But when do we actually move? Well, obviously not right here. I mean, if you just blindly bought this area right here, technically it would be a pretty damn bad, at least short and medium term trade. Long term is fine, but when you get your move, you get it here on the 15th of December, so about 2 weeks later. And if you go through the other iterations, you'll very likely find the same thing as that they are extremely similar. Anyways, as you can see right now, we don't even have that buy signal just yet. So I'm not looking at this as threatening a move as it is right now. If anything, I may be threatening a downside move, but I don't think that Bitcoin is like long-term bearish here, to be fair. Looking at daily SMI, we actually are increasing on the histogram, which is not good in the context of this price action, because this would actually be considered a bearish reset, seeing as this is a bit of a complex lower high right now. Now the daily MACD, same thing, it's losing momentum as well. Or sorry, it's not losing momentum, but we are losing momentum on daily MACD histogram, whereas daily SMI is increasing momentum, but this is within the context of still a lower high, which would imply that, well, a bit of a bearish reset in this case. On top of that, we do see that ADX DMI is giving no directional bias here. However, the next one that actually does go up alongside the ADX, I would be looking at that as a good early warning signal of a trending move in that direction. In this case, if Bitcoin does move to the downside, I'd be looking for about a move to $50,000 to the upside. I mean, it's going to be very likely continuation. But let's go back to the monthly and bi-monthly, and I guess we can maybe even look at the quarterly today too. But the monthly right here, again, we kind of have already fulfilled that test of the topside trend band as it is right now. If we go over to the bi-monthly, I think this one's a little bit more compelling, just because every time that Bitcoin's closed a bi-monthly dildo above the topside trend band, we have seen it come down, at the very least test that topside trend band. In this case, I mean, we actually see it pretty much get a backfill almost every time, or very close to it. And as you can see right here, we don't have that necessarily fulfilled. As currently it's situated right around $49,000. Here's the thing though, Caretaker actually did make a reverse function for this, and we can actually look at where the top side would be if Bitcoin closes at a specified price. So I'm actually going to put in $69,000 right here, because that actually is my next macro target if Bitcoin does break out to the upside. And funnily enough, if that condition is met by the next closure of the bi-monthly, which is not closing this month, it's going to be closing next month, at the end of June, that is, then actually we would be filling that condition once again. So it is, it's not a done deal that Bitcoin does come down there officially, because at the end of the day, this is a reactive indicator, and it will be most responsive to, where price action actually fucking closes, right? And with, basically 2 months ago, I mean, it's way too early to really be looking at it, but you can see that there is a way forwards on both sides. And again, this still would be continuation as far as the greater scale goes. So I still like it. I still do like it long term. However, short and medium term, Bitcoin can very easily just trade sideways here for a while. Weekly, I'd say from momentum oscillator perspective is very likely a bullish reset. I mean, we're seeing weekly MACD come down right now, but price actions, still maintaining with the uptrend. There's nothing bearish about that inherently. Same thing with SMI right there, and of course on the DMI ADX, we do see a bit of a bullish reset first and foremost because the DMI minus is in no way, shape, or form anywhere near the threshold. The DMI plus might base off against there again. If we see this one get a positive slope alongside the ADX, that would be my next big, weekly signal in this case as well. So with all of that in mind, I'm basically just looking for more sideways on Bitcoin. I think that it's the investment, but it's not necessarily the trade. Anyways, let's go check out our spot charts over here as I search for my shoe. Where the fuck are you? I need to wear shoes inside. It feels good. Anyways, okay, yeah. Let's actually go to our BitMexican chart right there. There we go. And let's see. Momentum oscillators. Do we see anything that's given us a natural bias right now? Again, BBWP is giving us a bias of essentially consolidation as it does trend to the downside. And more importantly, we do see that 4-hour RSI is just neutral here. Long term, I do look at this as constructive, but short term, just sideways, man. Just fucking sideways. In fact, the last signal that we did get was technically bearish divergence from this high. That's $58,000 all the way down to 55 essentially, 55.3. So not bad of a move right there. And then 4-hour TSI is actually turning down right now, but it is not below the bias zone. So if it does go below the bias zone, I would be looking at that as an early indication that Bitcoin does break down in the short-term timeframes. We do have this trend line coming in from the last few lows as well, though, and that would imply just a little bit of a downside there. And again, that is kind of where I would be looking for, maybe somewhere around like 48 to 49,000 bucks with a bounce heavily implied along the way, somewhere around like 51.5, we'll call it. So there you go. But again, this range right here is very unassuming, if you will. I'll even get rid of this trend line right here because it's relevant, but it's not really like pertinent to what we're talking about. Anyways, okay, let's go check out the other lower term time frames. Just want to see if they're on the same side. 3-hour, same shit, sideways as fuck. Bi-hourly, same shit, sideways as fuck. Hourly, same shit, sideways as fuck. Actually, hourly looks like it wants to have a small pop to the upside first. What about 12-hour? Do we see anything of particular note right here? We do see BBWP is very low. It's not as low as I would expect for like a big move incoming. The last time we saw it the last time we saw it like in the deep single digits, like down to 1 to 2 percentile was 5th and 6th of April. That was over here precipitating this run from about 55.6 to 65,000 bucks. So about a $10,000 move. In this case right here, if we trend down a little bit further on the BBWP, I would be looking for a decent move to the downside. I mean, a 10% move here would be $50,000, maybe a little bit below. To the upside, probably just pops up to like 61.5 region, and then we play it from there. Anyways, let's see. Buy daily, anything particular? No, we are above all major moving averages. I typically don't hate that. Actually, buy daily still looks bullish to me. Well, I would have a bullish bias. 3 daily, triple daily. We do have a bit of a easy play here off the last 3-day high and low. It essentially correlates to the range that we spoke about earlier on the wick basis. Yeah, 58.420 to the upside versus 52.850 to the downside. Again, not getting too much from that. I do, personally speaking, lean a little bit more to the downside here than the upside. I do think that this market could certainly shake out a few more hands before the next sort of potential mega move, if you will. Anyways, we are already 27 minutes into this bitch. Let's go quickly look at traditional markets, and then we'll actually look at Dogecoin too, because I'm interested right now just for the old memes. Okay, so looking at Nasdaq Futures, we did not get did we get the move down to 13,350? We did. Hey, not bad. Well, 13,375. Fuck it, I'm wrong. Anyways, looking at this right here, it looks like we actually are in the process of confirming hidden bullish divergence between this low and this low. I do like that, and that would give me a short-term bullish bias back up to the 10 simple here at 13,750. So essentially, would I be looking for a bounce continuation here? Yes, I would. I do think that this bounce plays out a little bit more. I do see that there's potential bearish divergence forming right here too, but that's, in my opinion, not playable. Usually, these moves get another try to the upside in my experience, and especially based off the monthly, I'm just not bearish on this chart on the monthly. I'm looking for this one to still continue to the upside. Looking at long-term targets, I'm still looking at $15,000 with an area of interest along the way at 14,250 to 14,300ish, we'll call it. Short-term time frames, yep, looks like they're building a little bit of a base, popping above the range. Yeah, I'll be looking for some short-term upside, 13.7 to 13.750ish region. SPY futures for there we go. There's the obvious buys right there. Here's their fucking easy trade of the day. SPY futures already getting that bounce, so I would imagine that we do see Nasdaq follow through with it as well. Does this bode well for Bitcoin? Technically speaking, yes. We do see strong correlations between these two assets, as do everything in this world, essentially. But SPY kind of leading the general markets here. And I'd say that this is very, 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 very likely setting up for continuation coming in next week. Weekly strong as fuck. I still stick with my 43 to 43.50 targets. 43.50 going to be a big one long term, but at least for now, I'm still bullish on this one. And I'd actually even be looking for this one to probably continue with the breakout today, seeing as we do see BBWP trending to the upside now. So we are expanding while this one does essentially confirm another higher low, and was presumably going to close the week on a pretty damn good up note. So I'm pretty fucking bullish on this one, actually, coming into next week. If this one takes out last week high as well at 42.11 and just 42.11, I'd just be looking for this one to melt up, like maybe even today. It looks fucking good, man. It looks fucking good. And coming into next week, I'd expect a continuation here. Okay, anything else that we want to talk about? My linky dinky, ooh, powerful link, gotten all the way up to 54. Hey, look at that, hitting the 3-spot extension right there, almost to the fucking T. That's usually not a big one for me. I don't think that we're going to see a high put in there, except for anything more than like a short and medium term high. Now, does it trade down a little bit? It could easily trade down to like 44.5. But ultimately, I still do like link here. I still think link is generally going. Daily RSI kind of tells a story, just getting the bullish control zone and holding it there. And we do see that daily BBWP, while it is getting a little bit hotter here, I really want to see it get up to 95 percentile plus on these more crazy moves that are going to insinuate more long-term highs. In this case, we don't see that, so I'm inclined to look at link as likely to continue here. Extremely likely. Honestly, I do extremely likely think that over the next I don't know how long this takes, but if Bitcoin gets another continuation drive, I mean, looking at targets towards 60 and then $69, it's not going to be, it's not going to be out of the conversation, I suppose. Let's look at the monthly as well. Yeah, this one's pretty fucking frothy here, to be fair. All right, that one is pretty fucking frothy. But yeah, I'd give it another chance to kind of base out on this area in the 4 hour and give another try to the upside. I don't hate this one at all. In fact, you can see a clear and obvious consolidation right now and still holding the trend. So I'm inclined to look for next expansion phase to the upside. All right, just thinking maybe euro dollar. Same shit, very likely pops back up. Short term, could it come back down to like 120 even? Could, or 120 and a quarter. Could, yes, but long term, or at least on the daily, I do look for this one to pop back up towards 121 region, 121 and a quarter, maybe more than that. Weekly looks good to me. Weekly is very obviously bullish here. Weekly, long term, fucking goddamn it, euro dollar. Gonna probably pop back up to 122.5. All right, I'm back in euros, baby. Weekly TSI turning up as well. It looks like coming into next week's closure, and we do have this trend line that I guess I drew in fucking ages ago. Coming into contact with price action as well. So all of these things look good to me for more upside on this one. We'll do doggy coin last. Let's do doggy coin right now. Let's see what we got. Doggy USD, Binance Derp, and what do we have? Okay, so the event on Saturday is Saturday Night Live, so it's on Saturday. That would be tomorrow night. Does Doggy Coin get one more try into that to the upside? I think it's possible. Yes, I actually really do. Let's see what the buy daily looks like. A little bit more toppy. 3 days still okay. I still look at this as more likely to try one more move to the upside. Where would my targets be to the upside? We already hit the 3-spot 618. That was my big, actually that one hit pretty much to the fucking T. But Krown, fibs don't work. I don't know, man. Seems to be working quite well for me. It's like I have these conversations internally in my head. But yeah, overall, I wouldn't be surprised to see it make another stab around that 69-cent high. If it wants to go for another high and take out last 3-day high at about just under 74 cents, my next target would be just above 80 cents. But again, I think that this is really the time to be cautious of something like this. This one, when it reverses, it's going to reverse fucking fast. And as you've seen with all their pumps, I mean, well, let's actually see what the other pumps have done. Hold on, let's go to a more long form chart here. All right, let's see. What's going to be a good one? Maybe Finex. Poloniex will certainly be the most long-running ones. Yeah, I think so at least. All right, so here we go. We can kind of chart all the way back. So anytime that doggy coin goes parabolic, let's just see what happens. This first one drops down about almost 96%. Okay, not bad. Gets a quick pump right here. I wouldn't necessarily say this is like, the worst one of all time, but 65% to the downside. What about this one right here? 83% to the downside. That's a little bit concerning. What about this one over here? We have, let's see, from top to bottom of that cycle, 94 and a third. A little bit concerning. Is this, a parabolic cycle right there? No. Is this? No, that's continuation still. So, at the end of the day, keep in mind that all of this is like within the last few months. So, when we're looking at the greater scales and we're looking at the macro schedule here, it does have a nice history of, dropping off 60 to 90% after going parabolic. And even on these drops right here, I mean, these are still pretty aggressive. I do think that's a 53% drop right there. And that's not even the market cycle. This one over here, another 55% drop almost. And again, not the market cycle. This one over here, 66%, and again, not even the market cycle. So when this thing, whether it tops out at like 69 cents or so, or whether it hits like 80 cents, I'd still be looking for this thing to come back down. Honestly, long term, after the market cycle's done, I'd be looking for it to come down back into single digits, back around 10 cents and maybe a little bit below. This would be your 90% down right here, 7 cents. That's Mia Khalifa's buy-in, I believe, getting all doggy styled right there. Even 50% down, where does that put us? Oh, actually, that's not so bad. It's about 35 cents, so fair enough. we'll just sidestep that one. But ultimately, long term, we all kind of know where this one's going. If you've been in this market long enough, this market, I mean, you're seeing the same shit here that you kind of saw in 2017, 2018, I imagine, in the sense that people are now talking about not just doggy coin going to $1. People are talking about doggy coin going to like fucking $5. Or I even saw one guy who is literally giving out financial advice on TikTok, like literally saying this is financial advice in a straight fucking face. And usually I'm very lenient with like, maybe he's joking, maybe he's not, but I can't really make an excuse for him. I don't think that he was. He was saying that doggy coin is going to be equal to 1 Ethereum. That's rather an interesting proposition. I'm not sure I agree, but fair enough. Anyways. Is there anything else that I can look at here for doggy coin that's of relevance? Well, not really, because it's not really that relevant. Again, maybe one more move to the upside. One more. I think we got one more move to the upside here, and then it's time for a bit of a rug pull and some tiers to follow. But one more is good. One more is fucking good, right? We enjoyed the move to the upside, but again, look at weekly RSI. We got 2 drives of bearish divergence already in there, and the third one, if it does come alongside a Tesla's trend line, which is actually going to be coming into next week, that would be your third drive. So yeah, I think over the next couple of weeks we see a major high in this one, and I think that this one will trade down. Now that comes into the question: would I short this thing? Fuck no, fuck no, man. This thing can go crazy, and ultimately, can I be wrong on that? Yeah, I can certainly be wrong on that too. But we'll see. I don't want I don't want to fucking jinx or anything like that. Still got to remain superstitious in these cases. But yeah. Overall, still a very impressive run, no doubt about that. I think we measured it out yesterday. It was like something ridiculous. Yeah, about 30,000% to the upside over the last year. Not bad at all. All right, I think that does it for today. Again, most eyes on Ethereum right now, and I'm sure some other altcoins are going as well. Bitcoin, more or less ranging sideways. I'd probably be looking for another short-term downside move, maybe to like 54.3, maybe slightly above there. But ultimately, it's not until we actually break the range between about 58 to the upside versus 53, 250 to the downside, where I'd actually even look for another short-term, medium-term sort of trending move there. Again, same sort of target supply. And with that said, I'd like to take some time to wish you the best and the happiest. Take care, and until next time.